Okay, I was mute. Dr. Rebecca?
Yes.
Can we start?
Yes, we can. Please kick us off.
So it's better that when our guests are coming, they can join us. You will admit.
Yes, yes, correct.
Okay, so first of all, I like to thank very much Dr. Rebecca, Professor Daniel, Professor Mamo Muche for making this pre-event issue on the AfricaLics PhD Academy pre-event happening in Gondar online through the platforms of Microsoft Teams. This project have been designed to serve as a stimulate or as a warm-up for what we have planned to host in the month of February or March. That depends on the plans of the colleagues and the government of Ethiopia on the lifting of this state of emergency due to the COVID-19 problems. These AfricaLics do have a number of programs and projects that would be addressed by Dr. Rebecca, but I like to introduce what we are doing at the University of Gondar. In the University of Gondar, we do have around 177 PhD postgraduate programs, and around dozens of PhD programs are available. What we are focusing here is in the College of Business and Economics. In the College of Business Economics, we do have 7 master programs and 2 PhD programs. The PhD programs are PhD in Economics and PhD in Management Studies. And this program have been run for the last 4 years, and we do have around 24 students, and we are managing this program with a lot of problems. We do have a shortage of qualified instructors, a shortage of qualified advisors. Our association through Professor Mamo Muche to AfricaLics would be expected to strengthen our capacity in managing and supervising and teaching learning process of our PhD, especially PhD programs. So the program would be helpful in such a way that these issues would be addressed, because as you might be very well aware, innovation is directly related to every field of study. Innovation is not limited to science or hard science. Innovation is not limited to chemistry or physics. It is applicable in business, it is applicable in economics, it is applicable in marketing, it is applicable in logistics, in tourism, and in every sphere of sciences, including accounting and finance. So these events would have paramount importance for strengthening our missions and vision at the university level. I have invited our vice presidents to attend the issue, but this time they are very, very engaged in calling new students and implementing COVID-19 pandemic problems at national level. Probably they will be having access for the recorded Microsoft team discussion for their attention and for decision. This is as an introduction, and we can start the session as per our plan. This is what I have, Dr. Rebecca.
Great, thank you very much, Dr. Mulugeta. Can I therefore ask Anne Kingiri, who is the Secretary General of AfricaLics, to say a few words about AfricaLics?
Okay.
Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Dr. Mulugeta, for that good introduction about Gondar, what you're doing, about the program that you're having, which it's to me, it's a confirmation that something is happening in Ethiopia. Thank you so much for that. And to the Deputy Vice Chancellor, who I understand is not able to join in, from Goda University, Professor Mamo Muchi, who is pioneering innovation activities in Ethiopia, my colleague and friend, Professor Daniel Kitao, who is also the board member of AfricaLics, senior colleagues who have joined us, alumni of AfricaLics, and other scholars and students from Ethiopia. Good afternoon. I'm hoping it's afternoon in Ethiopia. Good afternoon.
Please. Good afternoon.
Okay. So on behalf of AfricaLics Scientific Board and the AfricaLics Secretariat, I wish to welcome all of you to this important pre-event meeting. We consider as a board and as a secretariat this event to be very, very instrumental in achieving the agenda and the vision of AfricaLics, and also the vision of the region as pertains innovation capacity building. This goal has been held very passionately by pioneers, people like Mamo Muchi, Rudval, have held this passionate, this particular goal and vision of building innovation capacity in Africa for a long, long time. And we would want to commend them because they are very, very instrumental even in the establishment of AfricaLics. So we do also appreciate the work that is being spearheaded by our colleagues and friends, Professor Gitao included, and Mamo in pushing the vision of AfricaLics in Ethiopia. We do also appreciate the role of the AfricaLics alumni. Many of them, I believe, have joined today in this particular event in pushing the agenda of AfricaLics and also keeping the fire of AfricaLics burning in Ethiopia since the last meeting, which was the last conference, which was held there in 2014, Globalics conference, which was held there in 2014. And we are hopeful that the efforts of the alumni, the efforts of our fathers, Mamo and others, the efforts of Kitao and other colleagues are going to yield fruits. And we hope to see an AfricaLics hub coming up in Ethiopia. That is EthiopiaLics. Already we do have NigeriaLics, so we are hoping these efforts are going to yield fruits and culminate into an EthiopiaLics soon. We appreciate the effort of Becky and the team, the organizing team in Ethiopia, Muregeta, and your team. We do appreciate what you're doing in organizing this particular pre-meeting, as well as the other physical meeting, which is going to be coming soon. And we do appreciate what you are doing and what you will continue to do. So I'm going to wish all of you a productive engagement, interaction, and let's keep, that fire of Africa, which is already burning in Ethiopia. Let's keep it burning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Mulugeta, anything else from your side? Anybody else who needs to welcome us or?
Just a minute. Just a minute.
Okay. While we're waiting, perhaps I can ask those of you who are PhD students to raise your hand. You should be able to see a hand button on the top right-hand corner of your screen. If you're a PhD student, just click that button to raise your hand so we can see how many students we have in the room. Okay. Any more? I've got 3. Okay. If you're a PhD student and you can't work out where the button is, just say hello. Unmute yourself and say hello.
Okay, say hello.
Very good. Maybe we can go around and do, we can start some very brief introductions. If you want to say your name and where you are, shall we start with Biru?
My name is Biru Desta. I'm also like the first year student in PhD in Management Studies. I'm working here in Addis. So my intention is to be conducted on a PhD like programs and dissertation with regard to entrepreneurship and with regard to the destructive leadership. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Then I can see Morgaz, who I know, but others may not. So Morgaz, why don't you introduce yourself very briefly? I think you're muted, Morgaz.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
May I speak?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm Asgan from Addis Ababa University. I'm working on low-tech innovation for competitiveness of apparel industry. So I have been participated in the last AfricaLics PhD program in the Marrakesh. I'm happy to see you again.
Great, nice to see you, Tamaskan. It's yeah, hadn't noticed you were online. Great to see you. Morgaz, are you able to introduce yourself? Otherwise, we'll move on to somebody else. You are muted.
Morgaz is muted. I hope
Yes.
he tried to.
Okay, let's move to somebody else. Astrello. Adine?
Yeah, thank you very much, Rebecca. My name is Aschalo Adana, and the department head of marketing management in this university, the House University. And I'm very glad to see you all. And I think I will take a lot of experience from AfricaLics. And thank you for arranging this beautiful program. Thank you very much.
Great. Dr. Mulugeta, we were just doing some brief introductions. We still have a number of people to get through, but did you have anybody else that needs to?
Yeah, I was scheduled discussion or opening remarks from our college head, Dean, Dr. Darbo, but he is not around, so he will do the concluding remarks, so we can start after our previous schedule.
Okay, great. It would still be nice to hear from everybody else. So can I ask somebody else to just briefly introduce themselves? Who else do we have?
Sorry?
Hello? So, who else would like to introduce themselves? No one?
Can you call names from the list and then introduce themselves, please?
Yeah. So, Fenterhoon? Fenterhoon. Do you want to introduce yourself? You need to unmic yourself. Anybody else? Tadlo. Here we seem to have a very silent group of people. Maybe we should just start with the next session.
This was supposed to be the warm-up meeting.
Yeah. Is there no one else who would like to introduce themselves? You do not need to put on your...
Hi everyone. My name is Josephat Okema. I work with the AfricaLics. I'm happy to be part of this great afternoon engagement. Thank you.
Nice to see you, Josephat.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Hi everyone. I'm Moses Owiti, working with AfricaLics. Nice to be part of this pre-event meeting.
Good to see you, Moses, the famous Moses.
Thanks.
Very nice. Nice to hear from you, Moses. Moses have prepared us the logo for the conference. We did it very, very nicely. We have posted it from various places. In the main gate, in the college building, we have done a lot of publications, and even we gave a pamphlet for the session. Let me show you a pamphlet we prepared. But due to the time or no, I don't know the reason, a lot of people didn't attend the session. We prepared this one also.
Can you show us?
Yeah, this one. Is it not for invitation?
That's great. I mean, I think what we can do is we'll make sure that this video goes online.
Thank you very much. Not only, my name is Birru, not only like posting on.
Birru, you are muted. You are muted.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, please. Thank you. Dr. Mulugeta communicates through emails, through different times, and the way to attend on this workshop. And thank you, Dr. Mulugeta, also invite us because I'm also a PhD student at Gondar University. Thank you.
Thank you, Guru.
This is a great opportunity for us.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maureen Chepkemoi. I'm also part of AfricaLics Secretariat, and I'm happy to be part of this meeting.
Hi, Mori. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, good. Good to see you.
Dr. Fantaun Baile is the school head for School of Economics, which we do have a PhD program, and he wants to say something. He raised his hands. As flag. Shall we allow him?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Please, Fantaun, please.
Unmute yourself.
Please, Fantaun. Fantaun, you can.
I think Fantaun is muted.
Okay.
Yes, to unmute first.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Good morning or good afternoon. There was some internet connection problem, and excuse me for that. I was out for about 2 or 3 minutes. This is Fanta from the School of Economics in the University of Gondar in this college. And we have 4 batches of PhD students. In addition, the other programs. See, objective of this session is on PG program. The batch in each batch we have 2 to 4 students. In some of the batches we have 2 students, about 4 students, and 8 about 13 students. Which was admitted 4 years ago, has now started the paper. Therefore, they I hope they were invited, and I hope one or both of them are available here with us. Thank you so much. I'm done.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. It's very nice to meet you, and great to have the support of everybody at University of Gondar. Dr. Mulugeta, anybody else that needs to say hello? Otherwise, we should probably, I know others haven't said hello, but and introduce themselves, but I am aware that we do need to move into the sessions. We don't have a huge amount of time. And internet connection is not stable for a number of people.
Really. I was expecting the Dean, College of Business and Economics, to make an introduction of himself and the program, but he's not around and he's not responding to my call also. Probably the management department head is, he'll introduce himself. Let me call him. I have told him, but let me call him also.
Maybe we can start and then we can have another round of introductions after the first presentation.
That would be better.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so Anne, did you have some more to say about the history of AfricaLics?
I have a few slides which I'm going to share just now. Tell me if you see it. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
You can see the slides.
We can see it.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. I'm just going to share with us the journey of AfricaLics, where we are coming from, where we are, and where we are likely to be. I'm only having 15 minutes, so I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to take only 5 to 10 minutes so that we can have more time for the discussion and also for Professor Kitao's presentation, which is very, I'm really looking forward to listen to. I think AfricaLics, you all know, and perhaps for the benefits of those who are new to AfricaLics, we are the African chapter of GrowBerics, the global network on economics of learning, innovation and competence building system. And but the discussion to form this chapter, they started a while ago. As I said, there are people who we owe a lot to the establishment of AfricaLics. So these discussions have been going on outside Africa, but within Africa, those discussions were held during the GrowBerics conference, which was held in Africa in 2005 in Pretoria, and the GrowBerics conference, which was held in Dakar, Senegal, in 2008. But it is until 2012 when the AfricaLics was finally and officially launched during an All-Africa seminar that was held in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. During this particular seminar, which was convened by STIPRO. As I said, there are some brains which are behind AfricaLics. Mamo is one of the brain, and of course Rudval, who have been kind of talking and discussing. They had seen the need to bring agrobarics to Africa, and eventually their dream became a reality in 2012. The main objective of AfricaLics is basically to promote the development of science, technology, and innovation research capacity in Africa. But that research capacity, we aspire that it is strongly linked to the beneficiaries or the users. Where our goal is to enable African countries to actually develop the capacity to study, to monitor, and to evaluate the innovation system, and also develop evidence-based policies for the benefit of the society. And our vision is also kind of related to the goal. It is to see the African countries develop a new quality research that is actually conducted by own African researchers to be able to enable more informed policy decisions around STI for economic and social development. And of course, this is basically to benefit a wide stakeholder, and not just the policymakers and the public, but also the business practitioners and the civil society. When AfricaLics was launched in 2012 in Dar es Salaam, there were quite a number of thematic areas that the board, the AfricaLics Scientific Board then, found that they were quite pertinent. And this had been informed by a survey, a study which had been done previously, which was actually showing that there were quite a number of research thematic areas that should guide in Africa's innovation and development research agenda. And you can see there are quite a number of issues spanning from gender, the issue of governance, the role of the state, issues of work organization, informal sector, natural resource, engineering and design, low carbon innovation systems, among other thematic areas, including financial institutions, financial innovation. But this particular research agenda, which has guided us to date as a network, has it has been changing. And we can kind of confidently say that we are now, able to understand where we are heading. And based on the submissions of applications to the AfricaLics conference, the academies, we can argue that there are quite a number of thematic areas that are coming up, and they are becoming dominant, kind of replacing the previous research themes that have been guiding us over the years. Some of those old thematic areas have been, persistent issues of gender, youth, under the theme of inclusive innovation and development. We are seeing other inclusivity issues come up, like the role of the persons with disability. We are seeing the issues of industrialization coming up. And of course, this is not surprising. It is not surprising. It's showing that the African scholars are actually responding to the dynamics within Africa. They are responding to the sustainable, they're responding to sustainable development goals agenda, which is global. They are also responding to the African continent policy agenda. So these particular thematic areas, we can argue they are being shaped by the discussions that are happening within the African and also globally. Over the years, since 2012, we have received support from the Swedish government, the Swedish International Development Agency, to support our research capacity building activities and a research capacity building project. So, but the main goal for this particular support is to build innovation research capacity for Africa's development, with a view to building a critical mass of scholars in innovation and development in Africa. So we've had the phase one from 2013 to 2016. Phase one was primarily looking at increasing the use of insights from improved or quality research on this particular area, innovation and development, by a wide stakeholder within the region and within the respective national governments and national respective countries within the region. And of course, this has been in line with the thematic areas that I've mentioned, as well as the vision the initial board had at the beginning when AfricaLics was launched in 2012. We have now phase two. We are now implementing phase two of this research capacity building project that started in 2017. And the overall objective is to build a vibrant innovation and development research community in Africa that contributes to sustainable and inclusive development by 2025. You can see we are bringing in the regional and global agenda into our research capacity building efforts. Phase two is basically trying to upscale what was done in phase one, but it is actually putting more emphasis on, engaging a wider stakeholder within the policy and the business community, as well as development partners. But it is basically upscaling some of the activities that we have done in phase one, the trainings, PhD academies, conferences, as well as the visiting fellow program that has been going on, as well as a pilot activity that on a postdoc pilot activity that is currently going on. Some of the achievements, I'm not very sure whether you can see that particular slide. We can argue that we have had achievement to date in line with those activities that I've spoken about. We have had 6 PhD academies where 171 PhD students have been trained. Of course, out of these PhD academies, we have tried to engender, or rather to make sure that we balance between, we increase the participation of female students and as well as the participation of scholars from low-income countries. We have had 4 research conferences, and from these conferences, 460 scholars have participated. And again, also we make sure that there's gender balance as well. And from the PhD visiting fellow program that is coordinated through University of Aalborg, Denmark, by Dr. Margaret Anderson. This program has benefited 7 females and 11 male scholars. And I'm very, very, very excited to have had the first PhD beneficiary coming from Ethiopia. That is Abdi, and I hope Abdi is online. And we are really, really proud of you because you are pushing the AfricaLics agenda together with all the team in Ethiopia. We are very, very excited about what you are doing with your team there. Kasaun and all the others from Ethiopia, we are very, very excited what you are doing there. The teaching and learning activity has benefited 19 lecturers in 17 African countries. And of course, there are quite a number of other benefits that have arisen from teaching and learning program. And we are seeing a lot of localization of the capacity building efforts within Africa as a result of this teaching and learning activity. PhD supervision training has benefited quite a number of supervisors And we have had 5 training experiences which have been held to date, and we hope this is going to be upscaled in the future. There is the factual mentorship program that is benefiting quite a number of scholars from Ethiopia. I'm very, very excited. We are having a few scholars from University of Goda. I think we have a few, we think we do have a few from University of Addis Ababa. So this mentorship program is focusing on building a targeted capacity building, targeted capacity building of scholars within Africa, and matching them with the mentors within Africa, senior scholars, and we are hoping this program is going to yield fruits. The seed-funded research project was one of the activities in phase 1, and we had 6 seed funding projects, and one of the projects was actually coordinated through University of Addis Ababa, and it was co-led by Abdi. This is basically a continuation and highlight of AfricaLics achievement. This is pictorial. You can actually see the kind of dedicated and dedicated capacity building that has been focused much more on PhD students, and as well as PhD visiting fellows. And the factual mentoring program is also targeting PhD students, and we are hoping this is actually going to enhance our objective of building a critical mass of innovation and development scholars within Africa. At the conference and research activity level, of course, this is, and in addition to what I said, is just elaborating what we have done, but this is also aimed at building the research capacity within Africa, and through the conferences and through the research projects, as well as global conferences, where a big number of African scholars has been participating. And we are very, very appreciative to the Globerics team for considering, partnering with AfricaLics in enhancing this research capacity goal. That is another example of the attendance. Unfortunately, I was not able to get the data from Ethiopia, but increasingly we are seeing the number of participation of scholars from Ethiopia going up. Sorry, and we can argue this is as a result of the efforts that have been going on by the scholars there, as well as the alumni, those people who have gone through our activities, including Globerics activity, as well as the efforts of people like Mamo and efforts of people like Professor Kitao, and of course Murageta. Now we are having a bigger team. And we are hoping that in the future, because AfricaLics has a bright future, we are now being guided by a constitution that we are implementing. We have expanded the board, and that's how we brought on board Professor Daniel Kitao. And we do have now a wider representation within the region. So we are hoping that through that representation from the region, that we'll be able to push the agenda, the vision of the network to a higher level, and of course, to efforts to find way of sustaining the network. We are discussing that at the board level. But for me, the most important thing which I would want to mention here, and I hope everybody is listening, because we are hoping to localize our activities. We are hoping to bring our capacity building efforts much closer to the scholars, much closer to those who can benefit. And of course, this is cost effective. So we are hoping that Ethiopia, scholars from Ethiopia, those who hold the same dream as we do, are going to join hands and come up with an EthiopiaLics, a hub, AfricaLics hub within Ethiopia. So we are banking on you people. We are banking on your good efforts, your good support, your good collaboration, to be able to bring this dream, which is the dream of so many people the dream of the board, the dream of Mamo. We hope this is going to become a reality. And I'm looking forward to hearing good reports about meetings and plans that you have to make AfricaLics a reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Over to you, Becky and Muregeta.
Okay, thank you very much. Really, the AfricaLics have done a lot of things, and I am proud that Professor Daniel Ketau, Professor Bamo Muche, they are the pioneers of this AfricaLics, which contributed for the great success of AfricaLics, and hopefully, as it has been presented in the previous presentation, AfricaLics, it has been started as a whole, and now there is NigeriaLics, and it is expected to have also EthiopiaLics. That is great. That is great. And this is the issue we want to get from this academy, because we are in short of advisors, we are in short of researchers, we are in short of instructors at the PhD level, and the number of people who attend training in the AfricaLics, especially from Ethiopia, is low. So I expect that a lot of students, especially from University of Gondar, would be benefited from the physical academy we are expecting to host in the coming months. And I like to give chance for audiences to reflect on this issue.
So I think we have a hand up from Fenta. Please go ahead.
He has introduced himself previously. Probably Burru. Burru might be. Burru, you can speak.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Burru. I'm from University of Gondar and Management Studies in PhD program. I really appreciate the outstanding achievement of the AfricaLics for the support of research like capacity. And this program, it is very important and a good opportunity for the PhD student, the researcher, the academician, to share also their experience. That is a very important thing. Thank you very much on this way. I have one question, because the AfricaLics, the main objective of AfricaLics is promoting science and technology. When it comes to like the science and technology, we need to looking also the issue of like entrepreneurship and innovations. So that when like our program in PhD in management studies, those PhD students is looking on entrepreneurship. So that the AfricaLics, can we promote like entrepreneurship and innovation with regard to the one of the most important issue for today, the social entrepreneurship, the migrant entrepreneurship, the entrepreneurship strategies, and all these issues should be like connected. I hope so that. So that my question is, if we join any seminar, any program, any workshop with organized by AfricaLics, does our PhD student or the management student to join this program to have any opportunity with regard to this entrepreneurship and innovation? That is a very important issue. The way to capacity project should be supported, the different kinds of like research on this way. Do you have like this and information with regard to entrepreneurship? That is my question. Thank you very much.
Becky, do we want to pick another question and then we can respond to all of them?
Yeah.
Yes,
Probably,
I think that makes sense.
Probably Dr. Fantaun is raising hand. Dr. Fantaun Bailey. Dr. Fantaun? Okay.
Yes.
So, you don't have any question, any point?
No, I'm just confirming that I'm following you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Dr. Becky, you can respond.
Unless there's another question or comment, it'll be good to get 2 or 3.
Okay, I might be saying something, Dr. Rebecca. Last time, actually, you have we have a lot of communication with you through WhatsApp, and I understand what are the major vision, mission, activities, goals, and objectives of AfricaLics, and in the history and achievements of the previous presentation, it has been said. So, for the new participants, for the guests of this webinar, please elaborate what you want to achieve, how you will be achieving your objectives, and what would be your association to AfricaLics in general and Ethiopian students in particular. Please elaborate on this issue. In addition to Burru's question, is there any possibility of engaging in social entrepreneurship, migrant entrepreneurship, and the like that relevant to innovation, which is the core of AfricaLics? Thank you.
Okay, so to address the question of the relationship between innovation and entrepreneurship, they are separate but connected issues. And in the African context, they are, and actually in many European contexts, they're often taught together. The emphasis is usually on entrepreneurship at the exclusion or the disadvantage of innovation. The starting point for the two approaches is different, and but that doesn't mean that we should isolate one from the other. So we are heavily focused on innovation, and as I will discuss in a minute when I give my presentation, there is a reason for that because of where innovation studies comes from in terms of its disciplinary history. As I'll also talk in a minute, the African context is such that innovation that occurs on the continent is predominantly taking place in sectors and areas that are not the traditional ones that it takes place in the north. And there is a big question about whether we should be following those traditional paths of development that northern countries are undertaking. So I would say that entrepreneurship is an important thing to consider, and we shouldn't exclude it from our discussions on innovation, but we should also recognize that they are different and that you can be a successful entrepreneur but not a very good innovator, and vice versa. And that does need to be taken into account. When it comes to the second question about how we can support students and participants of this meeting, we'll talk specifically just now about the Academy and what we intend to do in the Academy. And then there are other activities that you can get engaged in. So the Visiting Fellows Program, some of you will have put in applications for that already. Others will have a chance next year to apply for the Visiting Fellows Program. And we can talk a bit more at the end about that program for those that would like more information. We can also talk a bit more about the conference. But I would also just recommend that everybody looks at the website, www.africalics.org, if you haven't already. And we also post everything on Twitter and Facebook as well. So for now, let's leave it there and we can come back to those other issues at the end of the meeting. So any other questions or comments at this part? Otherwise, we should swiftly move on. And I can start introducing the Academy.
I think no comments, so you can continue.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Oh, let me share my screen. There we go. And let's move it there. Okay. So can everybody see that? Hopefully. Not yet. Now you should be able to.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Good.
Okay. So I'm going to start by introducing myself. Rebecca Hanlin. I am the Innovation and Development Specialist with AfricaLics. I have been working with Anne Kingiri, who you've already met, for a number of years now. I am an Innovation and Development researcher, and I would also call myself an educator, although my definition of educator is perhaps not the traditional one. My focus is on combinations of actors to promote innovation. So I come from a sociological, organizational perspective on innovation, and I'm particularly interested in how we can build local capabilities for innovation across a number of fields, so that we don't have to import all capabilities. And my focus at the moment is mostly on renewable energies, but I started off in the health innovation sector. And what I have been doing since I started with AfricaLics is working on the academies and organizing academies with our co-hosts. And so I've spent a lot of time thinking about how to develop papers, write papers, and supporting students in their PhD work. I've been a PhD supervisor for at least, I think I'm now on to my 13th student. I've got 10 who have graduated already. So I've done a lot of teaching of PhD students, and a lot of thinking about how to write a good thesis, how to write a good conference paper, and therefore how to write a good application as well for various different research bids. And so what I want to do today is tell you a bit more about the Academy, and also a bit more about how to apply for the Academy and what we'll be looking for in your application for the Academy. But it also has relevance for any application, a lot of the advice I'm giving, and especially for conferences that you might apply to. So the Academy is normally a 2-week residential event. It's been hosted in a number of different countries over the years. The first one was in Kenya in 2012. We've held it in West Africa, in Nigeria. We've held it in North Africa, in Morocco, and in Algeria. We've held it in a number of different countries. This year, we were supposed to be coming to Ethiopia. We obviously can't come to Ethiopia at the moment. We are hoping that we will have the event in Ethiopia next year. Depending on the COVID situation, we will either have a fully residential event, or most likely we will have a small residential event and a series of online activities in the lead up to the residential event. And the timing of the event is most likely the second quarter of 2021. So May, June is when we're looking, but the exact date is still to be agreed with our co-hosts at Gondor and Addis Ababa University. So the event has a number of different sessions. It is primarily a time when students can get together, they present their work, and they receive feedback on their PhD theses from senior scholars in the field of innovation and development. Students will normally present their whole thesis idea, so their whole proposal, but will then get individual feedback on certain key areas in their thesis where they're having problems, or that are most specifically related to the field of innovation and development. Alongside that, we hold a number of traditional lectures around key theories and topics in the field of innovation and development. And we increasingly have a number of methods sessions. These can be focused on different things in different years, depending on where students that are selected are focusing. So what methods they are using. So sometimes we have more of an emphasis on quantitative methods, so the last academy in Morocco, we had quite a number of intensive sessions looking at how to use the latest big data and R and various statistical packages. And in other years, we focus much more on qualitative methods, mixed methodologies, case study approaches, etc. We also it's a really important opportunity for students to get to know each other, have a lot of fun. So we like to do a lot of site visits. We like to get people out and about to see the place that they're in. We also like to ensure that participants engage with key debates and key issues that are important to the area and to the university in which they're hosted. So we have a number of open sessions where we bring in stakeholders from outside. That could be practitioners. So when we held the academy in Mombasa, we brought in a number of people who ran factories, ran manufacturing centers, ran different businesses to come in and talk to students. We also brought in policymakers from government to talk to the students, and we also encourage group work. So normally we ask students to work together in groups and develop a research project idea and develop a policy brief around one of a problem that they identify in one of the site visits that they go on. And as I say, there's a lot of opportunity to have fun. It's a residential session, so everybody is together. We go out on trips, we go to the beach, we go to museums. We do an awful lot of exciting things, as well as spend an awful lot of time listening to each other and talking to each other about work. Despite the current situation, I think that will still be possible. We'll try and have a very interactive online sessions if we cannot have a physical 2-week academy for the whole time. But I really hope that we will be able to come to Gondor and bring students from across the continent to Gondor to have these sessions. Essentially, the academy is made what it is because it's a face-to-face event. We can give the lectures online, we can give the method sessions online, but to really a lot of people who attend these academies make friends and get to know people that they then write research grants with, who become mentors for them, and you make friends that remain with you. And certainly I did. I've been interacting with AfricaLics now since I started my PhD, and I've made a lot of strong friends and colleagues as a result of my interactions in these types of events. So the Academy call will come out in December, and you will be required, if you are interested in submitting a proposal, you have to submit a 5-page overview of your research project. Essentially, it's an extended abstract of your thesis, and I will go into the different sections that you'll be expected to include in that 5 pages in a minute. You'll also need to include your CV and a letter of support from your principal supervisor. We recommend that at the time of the academy, you are into your 2nd year of your PhD. You can apply if you have only just started, i.e. that you're in your 1st year at the time of the academy, but normally that means that you haven't developed your proposal sufficiently enough to really get the most out of the event. Similarly, by the time you have you're getting to the point of submission of your thesis at the end of year 3, 4, 5, however long it's taken you, you might have come so far along that again what you're going to hear and at the academy might be of not much use to you. So we really recommend that you should be just starting your 2nd year, or halfway through your 3rd year, or having completed your fieldwork and be just starting to write up in order for you to get the most out of the academy. So how should you write your application? And what I'm going to do now is give some advice that's quite general advice for writing, whether it's for writing your proposal application, generally, the extended abstract that you need to submit for the academy, or a conference paper, because a lot of the advice is the same throughout. 2 key things that I want you to take home from this. One is you have to address the theme of the conference or the academy. Now, our academies do not have a specific theme. So in this instance, what we're talking about is that you have to make sure that your thesis fits the area of innovation and development. And I'll come back to that a bit more in a minute. And also, you will need to make sure that your structure of your application, of your proposal, your extended abstract, your paper, has all the sections that are expected in an academic paper. And you might think that, well, that's obvious, but you'd be surprised at how many applications we receive that aren't quite finished. And so it's worth just pointing these things out. We do have some guidance on the AfricaLics website on how to write a paper and how to write your application. And I would very much recommend that you all look at that. Even if you decide not to apply for the academy, you will find that there's some very useful advice generally for writing academic paper, journal papers, for example, on that site. So what do I mean when I say that you have to have the paper talk about innovation and development? It is more than just writing innovation or development in the title or the abstract. It is about engaging critically with the literature on innovation and development. And there is now a developing field called Innovation and Development Studies, which is very much focused on the LICS part of AfricaLics. If you look in the top right-hand corner, or left-hand corner, depending on how you're looking at the screen, you'll see the AfricaLics finishes with LICS, and the LICS stands for Learning, Innovation and Competence Building Systems. And this is a particular way of thinking about innovation and development that we hold. So, as Anne mentioned in her introduction to AfricaLics, we are very much focused on studying the processes of innovation. And some of us talk about it more broadly beyond innovation, talking about the processes of how science, technology, and innovation occur, and the system that supports those processes. So by system, we're talking about the actors, the linkages, the institutions that support how innovation, how science, how technology, how research happens. So we're not interested in how somebody innovates, but at the same time, we are interested in how you innovate. And this is a slightly complicated thing for a lot of people to get their heads around. So what it means is we're less interested in knowing how to make a water pump or a 3D printer or a manufacturing process cheaper or lighter or stronger or more efficient. What we're interested in is asking about how the actors, knowledge and institutions interact, what actors, knowledge and institutions are needed to make that water pump, that manufacturing process, cheaper, stronger, lighter, more efficient. And who those actors are and what the institutions are and what type of knowledge and learning and the skills are required at the different levels within of the system. So at the base, at the firm level, at the community level, so at a very micro level, all the way up to the macro level of global politics, global economics, and global trends. And what's really important is that we're specifically interested in how all that impacts on ensuring sustainable, inclusive, equitable livelihoods and social and economic development. So the way I talk about it is that I talk about how my research that I do is not research in innovation, but it's research on innovation. So it very much combines innovation studies and development studies, and it started from within economics. So the famous economists who started this field, Chris Freeman, Bernd Ake Lundvall, Richard Nelson, they all ask questions around why some countries develop faster than others. How can we catch up with those countries? Then there's another strand that came from within organizational economics and organizational sociology that was very much focused on firms and asked how can firms become more efficient? And then there's a whole set of theory that started within geography that was focused on how regions can develop. How can we have regions that are underdeveloped? How can we rise them up? So it's a very interdisciplinary field, and but we're not all economists, sociologists, or geographers. We also have engineers, agriculturalists, biochemists, physicists, who all study these same issues and study it through these lenses. So much of the theory came from the global north, but we're interested increasingly in studying this within our own context. So Anne's already mentioned a number of these things already, so I won't go into it now, but we ask these questions in the work that we do. Are firms the loci of innovation? So this very much builds on the question that Biru asked earlier about what is the role of entrepreneurship in this? What is the role of the informal sector? Who does innovation and how does innovation take place? What is the right relationship between education, industry and government? So triple helix and quadruple helix discussions. What is the role of technology, particularly the fourth industrial revolution in economics, in economies and societies? How can we utilize indigenous knowledge better? And what does this mean for the theories and methods that we've traditionally used? So those are the kind of questions that we're interested in asking. And I will give you a copy of these slides afterwards. But these are the types of base literatures that we would expect people to reference. And these are the journals that you should be reading, and you should be citing papers from those journals when you are submitting your application. So going back to then how you write your proposal. When you write for the AfricaLics conference, you obviously need to tailor your paper for the conference theme or sub-theme. And you need to try and utilize those themes in your abstract. And you can read this in more depth in a minute, because we're not focusing so much on conferences today. The key thing is, don't just submit anything. You actually have to take time to tailor what you're writing. Don't just submit your original proposal that you submitted to your thesis board, to your defense board. You need to check that it actually fits the criteria that you're being asked to submit. If you don't know if it fits, read some of the material on the AfricaLics website, and if you're still in doubt, ask. And make sure that what you're submitting is original, i.e. you haven't published it previously, particularly if you're submitting for a conference. So in terms of what you should be submitting, your 5 pages for the Academy, on the right-hand side, you'll see the sections of your 5 pages that we would expect to see. And it very much mirrors your standard social science conference paper and what you'd be expected to have in your research proposal at the end of your first year of your PhD. So an introduction background that very clearly defines the purpose, objectives of your thesis, has a literature review, and needs to include in that literature review the key material from within innovation and development studies. Needs a clear methodology, outline your research methods and your limitations, how you expect to collect your data, and how you aim to analyze your data in your thesis. Then, depending on whether you have completed your fieldwork or not, you will either be able to write very briefly the key findings or your key anticipated results. And then if you are at the beginning of your thesis studies, then you would also include your PhD work plan in your submission as well. So finally, a few other things to consider. Before you write, note the word count and the format requirements, and make sure you start from that. Don't write first and then realize that you've written 3,000 words too many and you need to cut those out. Consider writing an outline first, particularly for an extended abstract, where your thesis proposal, if you have already written it, might be 20, 30 pages long. You will need to condense that down to 5. It's worth thinking through how you will condense it down and writing an outline first. And don't forget to take a note of the deadline date. Make sure that you've written it down, because often it's you will forget about it. And we don't want people submitting late. As you write the paper, I've given you the sections that we would expect in your extended abstract, but also make sure that you don't plagiarize, that you quote correctly, and you obviously use normal referencing standards. We recommend Harvard or APA, the American Psychological Association style. We prefer to have either of those used. And include an abstract, but my suggestion is that you write it at the end so that you make sure it fits the final paper argument. And before you submit, spend time, don't ignore the importance of proofreading and editing. If you are writing a conference submission, obviously you have to anonymize the paper, and do check again the procedure for submissions regarding tables, graphs, and front pages. For the Academy, you don't need to worry too much about that last one. So that's where I want to finish. Thanks very much. I will stop sharing here, so we can take some questions. We don't have a huge amount of time if we want to finish at 5, so please feel free to write them in the chat, and then we can get back to you with written comments and suggestions if we don't have time for everybody to ask their question. Mulugeta, I'm handing it back to you now.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rebecca, for your nice presentation, nice advice, comments that would make acceptable proposal in general, acceptable paper in general, and what is expected of PhD students to submit for getting some sort of support from AfricaLics. It was very brief. It was very interesting. So, if possible, I think the 2 documents presented should be accessible to the audiences. We do have at this time 20 audiences, and everybody should have this paper. And you have told very, very briefly and very, very nicely what is expected of us, and specifically the AfricaLics do have very interesting issues. So it is better to give for Professor Daniel to make presentation, and then the discussion should be at the end. I think so. Or shall we ask some questions, audience?
No, I think we should probably move directly on to Professor Kittel.
Okay. Prof?
Yes.
Professor, very well-known professor. He advised a lot of PhD students, including myself. Professor Daniel, a very, very humble, a very hardworking, and pioneer in establishing this or supporting AfricaLics, and he would be sharing us a very interesting topic, the relationship between innovation activities and development. He is advisor for government, he is advisor for Addis Ababa University, he is advisor for various organizations, researcher, and please audiences give more attention, more concern for what will be informing or what will be said in this presentation, in addition to what we have get a lot from the previous Dr. Rebecca presentation. So you can start, sir, please.
Okay. I'd like to share my presentation. Okay. I'm trying to share my...
Okay, no problem. Okay.
Prof, if you would like to email it to me, I can share it on my screen, if that's easier.
Share screen, desktop.
Application.
Yes.
Then the PPT.
Then the PPT.
Share now.
Is it shared now?
Not still, but you have to select share now.
application share
Select
screen.
PowerPoint.
Yes. This is a PowerPoint. Okay. Am I in now? Not yet. Yes.
Share your screen. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to be part of this AfricaLics Academy Pre meeting. When I was asked to present innovation and development in Ethiopia and the relationship between development, innovation, and innovation in Ethiopia, I was very much pleased, and I was humbled by the invitation. On this presentation, I would like to thank Dr. Gazai Desfai, my student, and Mr. Asrat Makunan, my PhD candidate, and Mr. Tamaskan Getachew, as a PhD candidate, for their support in preparing this presentation. This is part of the teaching activity, where I always engage my students whatever in all activities. So I'll go through some introductions and then relationship between innovation and development, and then we'll take more time on the Ethiopian experience, especially on building climate resilient green economy, on agricultural sector development, on structural transformation, on productivity, quality, and competitiveness. Innovation, as Thomas Edison said, there is a way to do it better, and you have to find it. Innovation does not come simply, but you have to toil for it. You have to work for it, and you have to take time and innovate. Well, as has been said by Rebecca, innovation is defined as the implementation of new or significantly improved products, goods, or services or processes. It is the dissemination of something new to the local context. It may not be an earth-shaking research output or innovation, but it has to be something new to the local context. It's not necessarily something new in absolute terms. That's what researchers have said. The earlier stages of development, incremental innovation, that's continuous learning and problem solving, the adoption of foreign technology, integration of new features into products and processes, and that's by way of technology transfer, knowledge transfer. These are being transferred in incremental ways by way of transferring mechanisms and methods. Later stages of development, there are breakthrough innovations or research and development based innovation and changes to an existing product, service, or process that has a significant impact on business. To successfully realize innovation projects, a different mindset is needed. I mean, all things are in the mind. You have to be more creative. You have to be more willing to take risks. And, the potential that is in us is enormous. We're not using 5 or 10% of the potential that we have. I think even Einstein did not use more than 5% of his potential. So there is a sleeping giant in us, in all of us. So these are basically the rules. We have to break the rules with traditional approaches, with the status quo, with the conventional methods. We will not get anywhere in the field of innovation. So we have to break the rules. We have to look for things that are different. We have to collect ideas from the people that are around us and from the people that we think they are not literate, but they are very wise. So new ideas can come from many different areas, and they can overcome obstacles to change concepts and optimize strategies. Another thing that we need to consider in innovation is we have to believe in the possible. The IM has to be ignored. We've been growing up, especially in the developing nations, by thinking I cannot do it, I cannot see it, I cannot make it, and so on. So we have to overcome this, the IM, the impossible. It is possible. Imagine how your innovation will look like in reality, and believe that you will be able to overcome all obstacles on the way to realization. If we don't overcome the impossible, I mean, look at Haile Gebrselassie. He has come the impossible. Look at Ababa Bikila. He has been running barefoot and has won the world marathon and so on. So we have to put together an innovation team of individuals with different perspectives and thinking styles, but all of them with the concept, with the mindset of we can do it, or it is possible mindset. So innovation needs the diversity of various competences and diverse ways of thinking. Not only engineers, not only economists, as Rebecca has clearly said. So the relationship between innovation and development is clear. The way to develop, you have to move in the direction of innovation. The firm's capability to anticipate changes depends upon the ability to innovate. If we don't innovate, we cannot survive in this unprecedented global competition. So innovation is a crucial source of differentiation and competition. The most innovative companies grow much better than the low innovative ones. So the characteristics of high innovative firms are strong research and development capability. That's the key in the takeoff of Asian economies. They have industries or firms that are at the technology frontier. They can manage on proactive attitude. They possess outstanding capability to yield further innovations, provide consumers with more value than anything else, look beyond what they already know or working. So they grow faster than the market. So they lead the market. It's not the market that leads them, but they induce their product in the market. In the case of very low innovative firms, they only exhibit the introduction of new solutions. Only the introduction. They don't follow through. Just like that of following through in ground tennis court or following through in basketball. We have to follow through. We don't have to stop at new solutions only. Investment mainly relate to marketing and organizational issues. They don't invest in innovation. Weaker financial conditions and worst market positions. So these low innovative firms do not possess the network structure. We need to have a network in order to, you see, innovation is it's something that you get it from other people as well. You clear your mind, you discuss with others, and then you get some tipping point ideas from other people. So you listen to them and then you get it. So the take up of new technologies is often absent in low innovative firms. And also, many low innovative firms, they put their capital on machineries. They put their capitals on buildings and so on. They put less capital, or they have insufficient human capital. With regards to the Ethiopian experience, national goals are to build climate resilient green economy. Second goal is agricultural sector development. Third one is structural transformation. And the fourth one, there are many, but for this presentation, I've selected only these four national goals. So the first one is the green, climate resilience green economy. So Ethiopia has a vision to become a middle-income country by 2025, as set in the growth transformation plan. So in reaching the goals of the GTP plan, the major requirements are boosting agricultural productivity, strengthening the industrial base, and fostering export growth. And thirdly, in the plan, climate resilient green economy initiative is put in place to protect the country from adverse effects of climate change to build green economy. So the green economy plan is based on 4 pillars: expanding electricity generation from renewable sources of energy for domestic and regional markets, leapfrogging to modern and energy efficient technologies in transport, industrial sectors, and buildings. And thirdly, protecting and re-establishing forests for their economic and ecosystem services, including as carbon stocks. And fourthly, improving crop and livestock production practices for higher food security and farmer income while reducing emission. Another aspect of the green development in Ethiopia is greening the ecosystem. In the last 2 years only, Ethiopia has planted more than 9 billion of trees, different types of trees. Fortunately, the current Prime Minister is he has an innovative mind. He takes risks, and he does it on his own as well. So he teaches by doing. It's also reported that the growth rate of the trees is more than 8. We are getting into the greening of the ecosystem. And the greening of the ecosystem, the land transport is using the electricity, wind energy is being tapped, and the great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is being built, and then forests are coming up. So the mega green energy project, the GERD, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, is part of it. So it is our innovative approach to meet the national goal with a reservoir volume of 74 million metric cube, and installation capacity is 6.5 megawatt, 6,500 megawatt. So we are building it, and of course there are challenges in the region, especially with Egypt and Sudan, but we have to be conversant with these nations, and we have to do it in an innovative way to complete this. And then we have green legacy. And the green legacy, trees planted in 20 billion in 4 years, we're planning to do that. And we are having a world record in daily plantations of tree in 2019. That is 353 million trees per day. So that is the green legacy that we have. And secondly, we are transforming the agricultural sector. If a country does not support the agricultural sector and the way to, it would be very difficult for its people to grow, to develop. So there is a new initiative, an innovative initiative that we are having for integrated agro-industrial parks. On these agro-industrial parks, around them, there is a collection center. And then there is a processing center next to the collection center. And then we have a central integrated agro-processing park. So 4 parks are being built. One is in Bure, in Amhara region. Another one is in Bakar, in Tigray region. Third one is in Lula, Oromia region. And the fourth one is in Yirgalem, in Sidama, southern region. I had the privilege of evaluating these 4 projects, and they are really innovative, and they change the mentality of people, and hopefully they will come to the effect very soon. So African Development Scheme, called Technologies for African Agricultural Transformation, offers an opportunity of new and better seeds that could make Ethiopia self-reliant. And using the TAT scheme, Ethiopia produces wheat on 20,000 hectares irrigated fields in the hot and dry lowlands around the Awash River. This has not been done for decades and decades, but currently we're doing it. And it's actually the government managing it in a more innovative way that the government has managed to do that. The lowland of Ethiopia is a completely new area for agriculture, and that's now growing wheat due to the heat-tolerant varieties of seeds. The next one is the structural transformation of industries. The Ethiopian government is planning to be one of a leading country in light industries in a few years' time. So developing green industries is one of the focal goals that the government has put down. All of our industrial parks have developed by considering environmental impacts, and due to the formation of the expansion of the industrial parks, 3.3 billion foreign direct investment is attracted in 2018 only. You can see the graph, how Ethiopia is making, attracting foreign direct investment, and this is due to the industrial parks. I mean, industrial parks are not new, but new to the context. And the way we do it is with better policies and so on. So we have Bolelami Industrial Parks, Makale Industrial Parks, Kombolcha Industrial Parks, Dredon Industrial Parks. So, just like as an example, Hawassa Industrial Park, it is employing over 20,000 employees, a total of 52 factories, hosting investors of leading apparel and textile manufacturers, and it was inaugurated in 2016 with a state-of-the-art technology. It has a world-class infrastructure features like zero liquid discharge technology, adheres to the global quality certification, including customs trade, partnership agreement against terrorism, and so on. So the industrial parks that the Chinese have, that the East Asians have, is modified in its context, in the context of the Ethiopian context, and we are doing in that area as well. So the key success factors of industrial parks in Ethiopia is preferential policies, investment incentives, established administrative system, and legal and regulatory regimes in progress. Fourth one is the productivity, quality, and competitiveness. And one of our flag carrier, the Ethiopian Airlines, is being led by innovative ideas. Currently, they have introduced a mobile app and chartered assisted shipment tracking service to elevate cargo customers' experience. The MRO, as the maintenance research and overhaul, successfully completed winglet installations, modifications on 2 of Boeing 737-800, and they are successfully certified. They are really innovative technicians. We have technicians in, and the management is also very innovative. They introduced COVID-19 global insurance cover. That's a new idea. And these are among the 3 profitable global airlines in 2020, despite the pandemic after the Korean Air and the Asian airline. So we are proud of the Ethiopian Airlines. The paradox in the Ethiopian Airlines is within a developing country, but it is working or it is competing against the developed nations. So one foot in the developing country, and another foot in the developed nations. So it is overcoming bureaucracies that we have in Ethiopia, in the developing nations. It is overcoming many of the challenges that developing nations have in the maintenance, in the human resource capability, and so on. So this is something that we have to learn from. Another thing that we are doing in most of the industries is productivity implementation, with the aim to focusing on applying small and continual quality improvements to result in major challenge at the time, as you can see on the figure. So the best and the most lasting challenge come from the gradual improvement. So Kaizen, quality improvement. Quality, if you improve your quality, then you improve your productivity. If you improve your productivity, then you improve your competitiveness. And if you improve your competitiveness, then you can have a market in the global market. 2 more advices before I finish my presentation. One is from Peter Drucker. If you want something new, you have to stop doing something old. And the second one is from Albert Einstein. He said, we cannot solve problems using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. So with this, I finish my presentation. These are the references. And thank you very much. I can share the slides to the participants. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for your cordial attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Daniel Kitao, for introducing and implanting the concepts of innovation and development by taking the Ethiopian context. I think most of the projects you have introduced in the Ethiopia, they are practical, but most of us, including myself, I am not aware of these projects, these mega projects. So if you share us the information, that would be nice. And this would be the time for participants to ask a question. in addition to the presentation made by Professor Daniel, we have to ask also some questions on Dr. Rebecca Hanlin presentations too. So it is open for the discussion. Audience. Okay. I think it should be time for audiences to reflect on what we have learned, on what we have listened from the two interesting presentations. Okay. Professor Daniel, may I ask a question?
Please.
Okay. In the previous presentation by Dr. Rebecca, as well as your presentation, we have come to understand the concepts of innovation, the concepts of newness. So I'm thinking that innovation in most of our understanding is in the hard science, in the engineering, in the medicine, in the agriculture. And most of the innovation theories are coming from the sociologists, especially the theory of innovation, the theory of diffusion of innovation have been developed by the sociologist Professor Rogers. So, how can you or can you advise us how to implement or how to use innovation theories in the business, in the economics? Can you give some pointers, because you have attended a lot of conferences, you have read, you have written a number of research articles. So can you reflect, both of you, on this issue as an initial point?
Come on in, Rebecca.
Okay, so the question was, how can we use innovation in economics and management? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So the starting point of the Globelics and AfricaLics is actually from economics. The original fathers of this field, and they were fathers, not mothers, as somebody pointed out to me yesterday, were a number of economists from the UK, from Denmark, and from the US in the 70s. Christopher Freeman, Bernd Ake Lundvall, and Richard Nelson, and they're particularly interested in questions of development economics and looking at a macro level at how economies change over time, and building on Schumpeter and similar questions around economic development, and they were particularly focused on production and the role of firms. And I think this is where, from a management point of view, there is quite a lot of overlap and usefulness in these theories, because while there's been quite a lot of sociologists, particularly on the management side, I think the organizational management, the organizational sociology, and to some extent the organizational economic side of things is perhaps seen and utilized more. This question about firms and the role of firms in economic development is highly important for us to think about. So on the one hand, we have this strong approach towards the development of African countries, African economies predominantly, not African livelihoods necessarily, around building up manufacturing capabilities through formal firms and the use of technologies and the latest technologies in providing a growth path for our countries to catch up with the rest of the world. And yet on the other side of that, you've got all the people who are involved in business. You know, they see themselves as entrepreneurs. Whether they formally fit the definition of an entrepreneur is another thing, but they're business people. They manage their own business, whether it is a hairdressing salon, whether it is a building firm, but they do so at a very small scale with relatively few employees. And then the question is, how can they improve their business? And that's where innovation is really important. And so I think there are economic theory from the innovation systems perspective that is useful in those environments, and you will find a lot of material on the AfricaLics website. We have a knowledge base section on the website, and anybody will be able to go there and find readings and references to that. So let me leave it there. Professor Kitao, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, as I'm an industrial engineer by profession and not an economist, but when I see the concept of innovation, for me, innovation is everywhere. It's not only on social entrepreneurship or on social sciences, but in mechanical design. In the design, there is innovation. In the process, there is innovation. In the marketing, there is innovation. In the planning, there is innovation. And I see innovation in the control, quality control, in the quality areas as well. So, as Rebecca has clearly said, in the hairdressing salon, in the tea rooms, you can name it. And innovation can be applied everywhere. That is the understanding that I have, and we don't have to limit to make fences or on different types of teachings, like mathematics, engineering, and so on. This is my area, that is your area, and so on. We have to work together, and we have to contribute for the development of our nation, our area, and so on. So, in short, I would say innovation is applied everywhere. That's all I can say for now.
Thank you, Professor Daniel Kitao and Dr. Rebecca for shedding light on our understandings of innovations and development in general, and the Ethiopian situation, the African situation in particular, and a lot of things we have got from these discussions and presentation. I think you will be overwhelmed with a number of proposals, requests, projects from Ethiopian students on this issue, because even if a few people attend this webinar, the video will be distributed to a large extent. It will be accessible by a number of our staffs, our students, our colleagues, our bosses. So that would create interest, that would be stored, and I expect that you will be sharing your resources to us, and we'll be working together in the future. We have traveled a lot to make this issue happen at this particular moment. I am very, very sorry that our top management didn't attend this program, but it would be accessible by them. I will be sharing them. Probably Moses it, and we'll be sharing it as for all of us. And if there is any point we have to raise at this particular time, it is time for discussion. And on the way forward, what shall we do in the future? We have to have some discussion on this issue. Audiences, here there is the dean of the College of Business and Economics at the University of Gondar. His name is Dr. Darbo Kanube, and he wants to introduce and say something for this session.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mulugeta. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, everybody, for late joining of the session. Good afternoon. It is an honor and privilege for me to welcome you on behalf of College of Business and Economics, University of Gondar. Even I am too late to say. I am Darbo, as it was introduced by Dr. Mulugeta, Dean College of Business and Economics. I wish to extend my deep appreciation to the organizing committee of this session from AfricaLics, UOG, and Addis Ababa University. And I really appreciate the two presenters for sharing what they have. I really to appreciate them. And this session is very much sensitive and on appropriate time for our college, because in our college we try to run and manage 2 PhD programs with the resource that we have. But now this session is another resource to excel our progress. And this session may contribute a lot for our PhD program success. So in different corners, we may extend this platform for future by widening and strengthening our network. Finally, I would like to thank all the wonderful people who took the initiative for this knowledge sharing webinar and who participate patiently for this webinar. It has been a pleasure being with all of you today. Thank you, and I wish you all to have a blessed day. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Darbo, for having very nice words to presenters and to audiences. So this should be the time for participants. What shall we do in the future? This is a very important initiation. How can we continue? Actually, we have discussed, and Dr. Rebecca has told us in the second quarter of 2021, and from June to May, probably in the May, we might be hosting the physical PhD Academy. Till then, what shall we do? If there is any point, Professor Daniel, Dr. Rebecca, if you have any words, please.
May I come in?
Yes, please. Please.
Well, the PhD Academy program in May or June next year in Gondar is an opportunity for Gondar University in particular and for Ethiopia at large. So we will be very pleased to welcome all participants from other parts of Africa and Europe as well, and we are ready and we are pleased to welcome them all. To do that, we have to organize ourselves, right, as of day one, that is, as of today. So we need to organize committees and then start planning what we should do, and we should receive them, we should welcome them and show them part of Gondar, the good part of Gondar, Bahardar, and some of the other areas that are wonderful to be seen by most people. In addition to sharing of knowledge, AfricaLics is also interested in sharing of cultures as well. So I am committed to be part of it, and the University of Gondar management sure will be committed as well. So we will push forward and do the things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you. Dr. Rebecca, are you there? Dr. Becky?
Yes, I'm here. So I would echo everything that Professor Kitao has said. I mean, I think we need to start thinking about the logistics now of the event. Particularly, we'll need to take on board how the pandemic progresses over the next few months. But I would like to hope that we will still put out the call for applications in December, and then we will work out how to host the events in nearer the time, once we see how things progress. In terms of other ways of participating in AfricaLics, there are a number. Formally, we have the Visiting Fellows Program. As I said earlier, the call for the next set of Visiting Fellows will come out next year. You can find more information on the Visiting Fellows program on our website. It essentially is an opportunity for students to spend some time in Denmark at Professor Lundvall's own university, and interact with academics in Denmark, and receive mentorship from academics in Denmark and also from other universities on your work. It is not a full PhD scholarship. It's very much about staying in your home university, but being able to connect more broadly with innovation scholars from across the globe. So that's the Visiting Fellows Program. We will have a conference. There will be a Globelics conference in 2021 in Costa Rica. The call for that will be coming out in early 2021. So recommend that you all look out for that. And we love to hear from you through Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Please get in contact with us if you would like to write a blog for us. we are trying to ensure that we get people's research out, and people can tell us what they're doing and tell the community about what they're researching through the blog series. But also, if you'd like to do a research video that advertises and tells people about your results or about your experiences as a PhD student, we'd like to receive those too. We have a YouTube channel where we post things like that. So lots of different ways of interacting. If you aren't already on our mailing list, please send an email to the Secretariat email address, secretariat@africalics.org, and we'll add you, and then you will get all the latest information. But my suggestion, specifically with regards to the Academy, is that in the next couple of weeks we should hold an organizational meeting with a few key members of your team, Mulugeta, to discuss next steps.
Okay. Okay.
Back to you.
Okay, Dr. Rebecca, thank you very much, and thank you very much, Dr. Rebecca, as well as Dr. Daniel Kitao. And we'll be continuing our association in the long term, specifically in the coming 5-6 months. We'll have a lot of things to do. And I'll also share the AfricaLics information to my colleagues, my bosses, and they are very welcoming for associating our programs to AfricaLics and to the key professors, Professor Mamo, Professor Daniel, and Dr. Rebecca. We're having a plan to invite you that have been cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we think things would be improved and we'll be working together as a team. Thank you very much.